Hello guys, today we are going to take a look at this cheap RC tractor that I got on AliExpress.com. It kind of looks like a Siku, so we're just going to take a look at it and see what it really is. So I bought one of these because basically I took a look at that picture. There's only a couple of pictures of it on AliExpress, and you know that pretty much looks identical to the Siku Control 32 track tractor that you can get. So I thought maybe this is the molds that whoever manufactured the tractor for Siku, they were just reusing those molds, because the Siku tractor was probably made in China somewhere. So I just thought maybe it was the same molds that they were using. The seller did say that it was 128, and I thought, well, sure, eBay, you know, take a chance that they might have just made up the scale and it's actually the 132 molds. But when it gets here, you can see that it's quite big. So, well, maybe you can't see without a point of reference. So let me get a tractor. So if we put it up against my RC tractor, track John Deere, you can see that it is quite big. So it clearly is 128 scale. So that's unfortunate. It's not exactly or the scale that I work in, so it's not really of much use to me, but it still should be interesting to see how they done the little mechanisms. They're all going to be the usual cheap kind of Chinese motor gearboxes with the slip clutches, and it's not going to have real strong lifting power, and the tracks are probably going to have slip clutches in them as well. But it'd just be interesting to see how they did it. But if you compare these two tractors, they are basically identical except for the scale and the fact that this one is entirely plastic. So all these pieces are plastic, and this one they're die cast, but everything is identical if you look at all the detail. So I don't know if they just reverse engineered a Siku tractor and then just blew up the scale or what, but it's unbelievable how similar they are. Even the battery pack, I think on the Siku tractor, the battery pack is something like this, goes into the back of the tractor, possibly is even 3 AAA batteries, the same as this one. This one, if you pull it out, it has a screw there, but that doesn't actually do anything. It's not screwed into anything. Well, at least it wasn't earlier. Maybe it's after fixing itself. No, I think it's just stuck. There we go. So that's the way the battery pack comes, just 3 AAA batteries. I don't know if that's the same as the Siku tractors. I think there is a Siku tractor that uses AAA batteries, something similar to that. So it was the detail that kind of got me interested in it. But when I read that it had you know, control of the loader here, and you know, it was obviously a tractor, I thought I'll take the chance. It might be 132 scale. It wasn't in the end, but you know, it was worth a chance, I think, just to see, because if it had been 132 scale, there would have been a lot that we could have done with it. We could have easily just got these basic tractors. I know there's no detail on them, but I mean, you could get them, throw in my own control board, which I will do to this one in one of the following videos. I'll upgrade it so that we get proper proportional control using the motors that come with it. But you know, if it had been 132 scale, we could easily have been doing that, just throwing in the control board and making as many as we want really quickly, and modifying them, changing them the way we want. And as well as that, I mean, this was like $40, and it came with the trailer as well, which tips, so it looked pretty good. It's just a pity it's the wrong scale. So I think I'll power it up here, and I'll just show you its usual kind of rubbish controls. You know, it's just a switch, you know, there's no proportional control. Usual sort of thing you get with the Chinese RC tractors, or even just old. It's not particular to this Chinese, just that it's a cheap RC vehicle. So there's our load and shovel, 1 speed. We have no control over tipping the bucket, it just lifts it and lowers it, that's all. It's very simple. There is a little gear there. So you can see this white gear, and there's a little gear under this guard here, and that's all that moves that up and down. The bucket is kept level by this simple little mechanism here that just connects, well, basically connects the whole lot back so that it's referenced to the angle here and just keeps this steady. So very simple, but it's quite effective. If we go to the top, there'll be a slip clutch. So you see it's clearly slipping on something there. And the same the other way. So, well, I'm assuming it's a slip clutch and that's not jumping on the gear, but it sounds like a slip clutch. If we look at the back, there is no control on the hitch. It's just plastic. Everything is plastic here. This weighs nothing. It's super light. Especially when you're used to Siku tractors, it is just ridiculously light. But even this is kind of nearly a rubbery kind of a plastic. Little bit damaged there. The detail is actually not terrible on this, considering what it is. You know, there's a bit of paint and stuff there. It's not perfect on the cab, but you know, it's not actually the worst. It's not the worst thing that I've ever seen. If it had been the right scale, like, I don't actually think it'd be too bad, because once you'd cut up the cab and you'd put the lights in the front of it and everything, you probably wouldn't be really all that noticeable. And of course you could get wee decals and stick John Deere on it or whatever. I know it's not the right colour, but you know, it's still, it's not the worst model in the world. I've seen much worse. So that's that. The drive, pretty atrocious as you would expect, just one speed. What the power is like. Let's see, will it spin the tracks? I suppose there's no weight to actually hold the tracks down, so maybe I should push down a little. It doesn't look like there's a slip clutch, and that feels reasonably strong, except that, you know, it's obviously underpowered. Maybe when we upgrade to our own motor driver we'll get a little bit more out of the motors, but then we'll probably break the gearbox down at the same time, so you know, it's kind of a much of a muchness. So the tractor, I think, is just a little bit too big to use with the 132 scale, so it's not much good in that respect, but other than that it's alright. So it comes with this trailer. Well, you have multiple options. You can buy it with the trailer, or just buy the tractor on its own, buy the tractor without the loader. There's lots of different ways you can buy these. There's a couple of different types of tractors. The wheel tractors don't look as good as this, I don't think. The wheels look a little bit crapper, but you know, these wheels, they look pretty much the same as the Siku ones, so it's even the same track and tread on the gear, so you know, that's why I thought this one might be reasonable, or that's why I thought it was the same molds. So you just have a little DC jack there. That's not a 2.1, is it a 1.6 is the next jack down, I'm not entirely sure, but you then have control. It's the same thing, so you can hear the slip clutch in that. That's pretty crusty, that. So that's not great, but you know, the base of it is kind of similar to the Siku trailer, so I'd say you could probably put a decent motor in there. You know, something that had a little bit more power. Well, you could put an N20 in there easily. I mean, look at the size of the space there. If that big hollow space that you could put something in, put a big battery into it. And the trailer, although it's built for this 128 scale, it's not actually the craziest of sizes. If you, well, I was thinking if you changed the wheels to, let me get another trailer. If you changed the wheels to something like these, that would just bring it down a little. It'd just drop the axle a tiny little piece, and then I'd say you'd want to shorten the hitch back probably to around a bit there, so you didn't have such a huge gap. Like you see, there's quite a long distance between the back of the trailer and the hitch. I'd probably shorten that back to around a bit there somewhere, and then I don't think it'd look terrible behind a tractor. I know it's still huge, but if you dropped down that little piece, improved that, it wouldn't be the worst trailer in the world, I don't think. but still, I don't know if you can buy this on its own, so I don't really think it'd be, well, I suppose some of the mechanics are there, so maybe it is kind of worth it. It's not hugely expensive to buy the tractor and the trailer if you're going to modify it into something usable. But if we get a normal tractor and hook it up behind it, so at the minute it's very far back from the tractor. That probably is ruining it. If you, I think if you dropped the wheels and you shortened that axle, it'd be back, you know, you'd have the trailer like there somewhere, well, around a bit there. I don't think it'd look as bad. It's still huge trailer obviously, but I think it might look a little bit more realistic. So that's all the controls we have in this little tractor. In the next video what I'm going to do is take this apart, see what kind of motors are in it, and you know, see are they any good or how can we modify them. If we can add a motor to move this little piece here to raise and lower the bucket, that would be good. You know, you might only need a bit of tread or something to go back to actually control that. You might need a huge amount of strength. I mean, the weight of the bucket might drop it back down, so if you just had a motor coil and a little tread back, that might do. So we'll take it apart, we'll have a look at what the little control board looks like with the whatever kind of radio that it has in it. I'm presuming it's going to be the same basic cheap Chinese kind of radio that's always in these things. It's not going to be anything complex. Then we'll have a look at the motors and see how we can modify them. I'm pretty sure this is just going to be a motor driver, and all it's doing here is basically, well, this will be wired straight to the motor, and that's just going straight to the motor driver inside this. Now, well, not in the next video. In the next video we're just going to take it apart and see what it looks like, but probably in the following video I'll put one of these motor drivers into it, or one of these little control boards, because it really should just be a matter of wiring it up. There shouldn't be anything too complicated to it. Then we'll get full proportional control of it, and it should be a little bit easier to test. It'd be good just to see what it would be like if you did have proper proportional control. And I'll probably do the same with the trailer, although I might modify it. I'm kind of thinking I might modify that and try and make it into a half decent trailer. But then again, it might not be worth the hassle of doing it, because that would be a little bit more complex. I mean, this pretty much just have to wire this into it and we'll have improved it. That could take a little bit of mechanical working, but given the size of it, we might be able to 3D print things for it fairly easy. So that's all I have for this video. If you liked it, make sure and hit the thumbs up button. This little tractor is probably okay. I mean, it's not the worst model in the world, but it's pretty crusty. I mean, weighs nothing, and it's the usual kind of rubbish gearboxes with the slip clutches and all that. So it's not great, but it's okay if you just wanted a cheap toy RC tractor, then I don't see any problem with it really. So if you have any comments or suggestions, let me know the video. Don't forget to hit the like button if you liked it, and that's pretty much everything. So thanks very much for watching.